So, what's happening in Iran and where's it headed? Let's find out a little bit more with our expert guest. We're joined by Ambassador Anil Kumar Trigunath. He's a former senior diplomat. Good afternoon to you, Ambassador
Good afternoon.
Trigunath. Internet shutdown is being seen as a bit of an ominous indicator where Iran's past is concerned. But do you think things might be different this time around?
Well, the regime in its since 1979, that's about 46 years, has been able to survive several protests. One of the biggest was, of course, during the Mahsa Amini's death. But this one is definitely driven by various economic causes as well as the external interference. So, no doubt, there is economic condition is quite bad because of the continued sanctions on the Iranians. The cost of living has hit the roof. There is Rial has been devalued to some 1.4, 1.5 million, which is exceptional. And the people are suffering, and that's why the shopkeepers, which are called bazaris and all traders, they have also come into the support of the protests and wanting the regime to do something about it. But the problem is also there is a deep-seated, I think, disgruntled man about the privileges that the elite people, including the IRGC and others, enjoy the country while rest of the ordinary people suffer. So there is a perception that there is a lot of corruption. There is a perception there's no transparency in governance. But at the same time, we must give it that Dr. Pezeshkian, the president, as well as the supreme leader have both acknowledged the problem and they have owned up the problem. And they're trying to do something about it, but I think that in the short term it becomes very difficult. Secondly, we should not forget that Iran has a very large educated young people, and they are all social media connected. They understand the information, and they are suffering. So it becomes compounded in the process. Unemployment is there tremendous. So that is what is all these factors coming together have created a major problem in Iran this time, which is of course being again pumped up by President Trump when he made a statement that if any action is taken against the protesters, which is actually also a legitimate right of any government to control the violence and law and order. But then President Trump has said they will come heavy hand and all that. So those kind of statements have also may have, somehow emboldened the certain groups among the protesters. Another thing is that now everybody is looking at some kind of a change in the regime. For example, Ayatollah Khamenei is almost 86 years old and has been ailing also. So there has to be a succession issue that is also on the forefront. And you have Shah Pahlavi, who is also being propped up by the West, especially the United States, and is wanting to come back. He gave a call to the people to come in Tehran. And in the Islamic countries, mostly Fridays are always very, very important to watch.
But again, what sort of a future does it point to for Iran now when the economy, as you said, is in doldrums? The people are out on the streets in increasing numbers, with every passing day ever since the 28th of December. And it comes to a situation when even after having given some concessions to the people where the economic woes are concerned, like increasing their subsidy, these crowds have not stopped coming out, and now there's an internet shutdown. What does that really indicate? Does it tell you that the solution is not perhaps in the Khamenei's hand, or as far as Dr. Pezeshkian is concerned?
Well, it is true that, I mean, these economic problems, which are more than 4 decades old due to the extreme sanctions, are not going to go away so soon or can be easily addressed. As you know, in the last budget, the government has decided to increase the taxes by about 60%. And that's what really provoked the people. That on the one hand, you have these economic difficulties. On the other hand, the government increases the taxes. So this is what the government realized and tried to roll back through a 16-point plan. But these things take time to really settle down. And when people are protesting, there's a mob mentality, and that all gets compounded to the extent that they want a change in the government. And they think that the new government will provide them some kind of a relief. But that is very difficult. We have seen in every country, wherever these kind of overthrow have taken place, whether legally or illegally. These are some things that are very difficult to address. But at the same time, this is how the things play out. So it is quite possible that if the violence is used against people, then there can be a much bigger violence from the public that would create a problem there. But one more thing is, in case whether it is USA or Israel, which have been prompting a lot of protesters as well, or Shah for that matter, do something about it, then or attack or do like use any pretext to intervene, then it is very likely that these will peter out like last time. And once again, you will have people rallying behind the government because Iranians are very proud people. They want their country to survive and not be subjugated by others.
And I mean, President Trump has been very critical, and he's warned time and again that he will hit Iran hard. He will really go out all out against Iran if the people are harmed. There are, of course, non-official reports of people already being harmed and being locked up. But do you feel that there is little scope for Donald Trump to do something similar to what he has done in the case of Venezuela, where Iran is concerned?
Well, I doubt very much that he'll do so because yesterday, I think, or today morning, there was an interview in which this question was specifically asked. So, in terms of some casualties that occurred, then President Trump, according to his information, he said in several incidents it is because of this stampede when the police was trying to control the crowds and the rioters. So that is something, but he also repeated that if violence against the protesters or they're killed, then he'll use heavy hand or what. But the United States is sitting very far ahead. It has already tried to propel the Iranian economy to a great extent. It wants Iran to come back to the table once again, but on its terms, on the US terms. And that is something very difficult. Secondly, it wants to continue to create the Israeli supremacy in the region as well as over Iran. So that kind of a thing they've already done with the Iranian, as far as its proxies like the Houthis or Hamas or Hezbollah are concerned. But on the other hand, I think that whatever one knows about Iran, I think anybody who coming to power now, whether propped by the West or from within, would find it extremely difficult to overcome it until and unless some sanction reliefs and the international collaboration is exceeded.
Right. And that can only happen in case the present regime were to find a way out or exit altogether. But that doesn't seem to be the case right now. But still, the only or the biggest thing that Iran and Venezuela have in common is oil.
Well, Iran had also invested a great deal in Venezuela, if you know. I mean, Venezuela's biggest sin was that it was hobnobbing with the Chinese, with the Russians, and the Iranians, and was confronting the Americans. Apart from there's an oil curse actually, and this was very much known. So I think for President Trump, that's why he wants Iran to be not in the opposing camp to the extent possible, because Iran is the third largest source space for the crude oil and all gas as well. So it's an important country. It can come back very fast in case there is some kind of a peace or sanctions are lifted. And that's what they were aiming at after signing the nuclear deal. So from now till next 10 days would be very critical for the government and also for the people and international community, how it plays out.
Right. Well, I don't see sanctions being lifted until unless there is some major change in Iran, either in the regime itself or in its stance where its nuclear program is concerned. But we have to see how this entire situation plays out. Right now, I guess the situation is mostly in the hands of the Iranian people themselves. Thank you for joining us,
Thank you.
Ambassador Trigunayat.